It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. Oh my God, I just cringed myself out. Anyway, the other day I gave you my sweet tour at Landolls Mohican Castle. Today I'm taking you to the heart of where all the paranormal activity happens. And yes, you guessed it, I'm in a graveyard, which naturally tend to be quite haunted, but this one is more haunted than most. And as I was saying the other day, all of these ghost stories tend to date back to the land. I'm in the heart of Hyde Cemetery. This is, as I said, where all the paranormal activity happens. A lot of the prolific paranormal activity dates back to the native settlers of this land, and there are two very prolific ghosts. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. Oh my God, I just cringed myself out. Anyway, the other day I gave you my sweet tour at Landolls Mohican Castle. Today I'm taking you to the heart of where all the paranormal activity happens. And yes, you guessed it, I'm in a graveyard, which naturally tend to be quite haunted, but this one is more haunted than most. And as I was saying the other day, all of these ghost stories tend to date back to the land. This land has seen many a ghost, and it has more than one tale to tell. I was saying that the hotel here is actually a fairly new structure. In terms of haunted hotels, it's a fairly new building. Like I was saying, it's not a medieval castle, it's kind of a themed hotel. But the land in which the castle sits on is highly haunted. I'm in the heart of Hyde Cemetery. This is, as I said, where all the paranormal activity happens. A lot of the prolific paranormal activity dates back to the native settlers of this land, and there are two very prolific ghosts that haunt this ceremony. A mother and her daughter who were tragically slaughtered in the dead of night. This story predates this hotel. It predates the log cabin that I'm going to show you in a minute, and it goes back to when the land was native and there was early European settlers. There was a dispute, there was a conflict, there was a clash of interests, and that is also one of the reasons why a lot of these graveyards have actually been relocated, because there was a conflict between how many of the church services were conducted, because there was a clash between the two religions, and subsequently a lot of the graves were relocated and dug up and moved for those very reasons. Also, you will probably notice when I do a little walk around that there is no longer a church here. The church burnt to the ground. Subsequently, again, leading to a lot of unrested souls in this area. Behind me is the most haunted grave in the whole cemetery. This is the resting place of Sarah Carnagey and her daughter Samantha, who is the most prolific and the most noticeable ghost in this cemetery. Samantha is often seen wandering the graveyard in a blue nightgown. This young girl is the most remembered ghost of Landolls Castle Hotel. As you can see, people regularly tour this graveyard. They leave toys and they leave offerings for young Samantha as a way of keeping her happy, keeping her spirit at peace, and subsequently warning off any untoward paranormal activity. In fact, if you take a stroll around this whole graveyard, there are offerings of toys pretty much on every other tombstone. But as you can see, the focal point of the offerings is the grave situated behind me. Now, this whole area, it's a relatively small graveyard, and as you can see, it goes off into the woods. Apparently, if you go walking in the woods at night, you may come across the spirit of that young girl because she likes to play in the forest. So don't come here after dark, although you know me, I'm definitely going to come here after dark. So there is actually a plaque to mark where the church used to be, and that is the site of the replica Hyde's cabin. This was the home of, again, another early settler of the land, and I'm going to take you in there in a second, but I thought I would just tour the cemetery, soak in the atmosphere, and of course show you this very prolific grave. And it's quite interesting with spirits. I mean, the spirit of a little girl running through the cemetery in a blue nightgown is very, almost, I mean, it's very tragic, but it's very haunting and it's very ideal. And of course there were multiple people in this graveyard who all deserve to equally be remembered, but obviously sometimes with these ghost stories there is one particular ghost that captures the heart and captures the imagination of all of the visitors, and this is obviously what's happened with the ghost of the young girl, and people do want to pay homage to her and remember her, and like I said, leave her toys and offerings as a mark of respect, but as I just said, to keep the ghosts at bay. I'm right up next to the tombstone now, and this grave is probably the most noticeable. I mean, arguably because of all the offerings left on it, but it kind of backs into the woods, which would explain why people think the young girl likes to haunt the woods behind and play in this area. It's also said that she has been spotted going up to the cabin windows, and that's going to be quite interesting because I'm actually filming a music video in that cabin. I'm going to be waking up bright and early and doing my thing. I'm going to be filming in that cabin, which is potentially one of the most haunting music videos I've ever filmed, but there does seem to be a running theme with my music that the locations that I film in naturally tend to be haunted. It's probably not accidental, I'm not going to lie, but it's probably also to do with the type of properties that I love. I love character, I love historic buildings, and I love that kind of derelict, kind of eerie vibe, and it does lend itself to haunted prisons, haunted cabins, and venues like that. So when you go inside, you will get to see what will be my music video set, and we'll have a quick look around, and they've done it like it would have been back in 1857. They have replicated how it would have looked when it was owned by the Hyde family. This tombstone dates back to 1857, so to get a perspective of time, you know, obviously we're in 2026 now, this is a very old historic graveyard, and as such you do have fallen tombstones, and people do hear echoes, people, apparitions, ghosts. This is a very active cemetery. Aside from this gravestone, this is probably one of the most active grave sites in Ohio. So the larger tombstone that I was just standing by is her mother Sarah's headstone, and I believe this tiny headstone here is that of young Samantha. And people have left pots of glitter, bracelets, anything that you would think that a young child would enjoy. The sun is popping through the trees now. It is dawnbreak, and you can hear a lot of wildlife and a lot of bird song, which is a counterbalance to the somber atmosphere, but it's still very peaceful and still very haunting nonetheless. I'm inside Jacob Hyde's cabin. This, of course, is a replica cabin of how it would have looked when his family lived on this land. This cabin is also in the exact spot where the church burnt down. Now, this church burning down was quite a mysterious event, and that, along with the ghosts, along with the moved graves, along with a lot of other things, is why this location is said to be so haunted. In fact, this cabin does actually have a very eerie atmosphere, and you do feel like you are being watched. The fact that you can look out the cabin window and right into the heart of the cemetery is very, very unsettling. And of course, there is a strange energy in the air, even in the middle of the day. So it'll be really interesting when I come in here to film my music video if I am visited by anything. It would be quite magical to be visited by the ghost of Samantha Carnagey and any other spirit who wants to come and say hello. But when it's pitch black in here, there are no curtains on the windows, so you are literally looking out into pitch black darkness, and anything or anybody could potentially come up and tap on those windows, which is quite unsettling, to say the least. But this is kind of like traditional log cabin. Everything is wood, as you would imagine, and it is a little bit like a film set. I mean, they say this is a replica cabin. Obviously it's a replica cabin because that was in 18 goodness knows what, and of course the church burnt to the ground, so there was no, it's a replica, so you can easily tell that it's a replica and this is not an original cabin from that time period. But a lot of the attention to detail is very reminiscent of that time. You can see like the old bureau, you can see the beautiful piano behind, show you the bed frame. There is a bear skin on the wall with its growling head looking in my direction as we speak. There's a very eerie painting on the wall that is eyeballing me quite persistently, and yeah, it's everything you would expect from a cabin in the woods, really. It's a little bit like a horror movie set, hence the choice to use it for my music video. So you have to check that out when that song comes out. It's for a song called Blank Pages, which if you've listened to my album, and thank you if you have, I can never say the title of my own album, Good Attendance at Sunday School. Quite ironic really that I'm standing on the site of a old church talking about Sunday school, filming a music video. Blank Pages is the final song on Good Attendance at Sunday School and is the last music video that I'm filming for that album. So I could say I'm going down in flames, but I don't want to kind of jinx my whole career like that. But it just seemed quite fitting. Like, I originally walked in here having no intention of filming a music video here, and I was just like, oh my goodness. That kind of takes me back to the Sunday school days, although I wasn't alive in 1850 something, thank goodness. I mean, I feel like I am. At the moment I feel like so ancient that I could have been alive in that time period. And I've touched upon the fact before that I constantly think that I was born in the wrong time zone because I am a sucker for anything historic, and these kind of buildings make me feel weirdly at home. So that's enough about me. I'm going to give you a little show round, talk you through a few things, and I am not going to sleep on the cemetery view from the window, so I'll show you that too. This is the bureau in the corner, and there are scattered documents. In fact, these are like scattered passages from the Bible, different lessons. This one is Abraham, and you have David and Goliath. You have my personal favourite, the serpent tree from Adam and Eve, which if you've watched my 7 Sins video, you'll see that that is a huge influence for me. In fact, For those of you who don't know, my album is called Good Attendance at Sunday School because when I was growing up, I was hugely inspired by stories from the Bible. I used to attend Sunday school religiously, and I used to be so captivated by stories of Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark, you know, the whole story of temptation, those kind of biblical stories, which, you know, that is such a iconic graphic image, regardless of whether you're religious or not. That kind of depiction of creation is very, very impacting, I feel. Well, for me anyway. So we have Bible passages scattered on this desk. There's a few old photographs as well. I'm not actually sure. There's no... This photo is from 1936. It has a stamp on the back. It looks like it's at the side of a railroad. I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but there's quite a few old photographs scattered around, the purpose of which I am not sure of. Also, there's some old books in here, and you'll see this kind of reminds me of very much Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I'll show you why. There is a table which has huge... They're not porridge bowls, they're huge. I mean, if you ate that amount of porridge, you would be fueled for days. So maybe I do need to eat that amount of porridge because I'm still in my jet lag era. I'm waking up at 5 o'clock every day. And I always feel like this is the case. Whenever I film a haunted video, I'm always tired and over caffeinated, which needs to change. But when you're filming horror content, sort of mid-afternoon is not really a time known to me. It's either dawnbreak, sunset, or in the dead of night. So that's why you will not see me at my most energetic, but I try. And we can't moan about things like that because it's probably very boring. If you tuned in to hear history or haunted ghost tales, me moaning about how tired I am is probably a little bit monotonous. So let's show you the Goldilocks and the Three Bears inspired porridge bowls which sit on the table of the cabin. Cool, right? Yum, 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 a moth for breakfast. This is, like I said, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Yum, yum, yum. See, I'm really in my storytelling era at the moment. I love all this stuff. It's very cool for me. And I think as well, because I'm British, this kind of American style cabin in the woods is quite exciting to me. I mean, I'm sure if you're American, this is kind of like reminiscent of all your childhood holidays. But when you're a Brit abroad, you get excited by the things that are probably normal to most people. It's the same as when people come over to England and they go to the Cotswolds and they get so excited by Cotswold stone and the little bridges over the river. This is kind of like the American equivalent. And I'm in the heart of Ohio, which I never thought I'd say that, but I've been covering Incarceration Festival and this is where I've been staying. So not only have I gone to a haunted heavy metal concert, I'm staying in a haunted hotel. So it's double whammy on the haunting vibes. And it would be rude not to show you around this fascinating hotel. And this is like a holiday destination hotspot. This hotel is sort of situated right up in the woods, really, and you do pass like people kayaking down the river, tubing down the river. This is where you would come for your vacation if you live in the Ohio region, I guess. It's kind of like Center Parcs, but much more authentic. So this is the cabin bed. I mean, I guess you could explain this type of living as quite stripped back. I mean, it was yesteryear, there was no modern technology, but it's kind of humble. You had the little crib and just a humble life. I mean, it would have been back then because you wouldn't have had modern technology. I mean, most people who lived in the area would have worked in the area. They would have worked on the land. They would have been a lumberjack or something useful and something practical and something relevant to the time that they lived in. So it was a very different life to what we live today. And even filming this with all my kind of technology and my camera, and it's just such a far cry from how it would have been living in this area back then. And I guess you did have your imagination to keep you alight because you would be reading books and you'd have the stories of the surrounding land, and it would have been a whole different world, a whole new world. Oh my God, like really? This is the guy that has been eyeballing me around the room. He's like the Mona Lisa of Jacob's cabin. His eyes follow you everywhere. He is keeping a watchful eye on everything that goes on. I hope you enjoyed my haunted insight into Landolls Castle. You have seen both sides of the coin. You have seen the modern day hotel suite, the Landoll suite. You have seen the rustic replica cabin. And of course, you've seen the most haunted area, the haunted cemetery. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, give me a thumbs up, give me a follow, a like, a subscribe. If you hated it, go away. I was going to say, if you hated it, give me your feedback, but no, please don't. If you hated it, please move along quietly, because I am what I am, and that's not going to change anytime soon. And yeah, check out my stuff, brocarde.com. Follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to get into TikTok. Yeah, just show me some love. On to the next adventure.